Please, I'm so hungry. Anything, even a little food. Please help me.
When a desperate young woman begging for food reveals a distinctive birthmark to a wealthy Nigerian oil magnate, it unravels a web of murder, corruption, and family secrets that forces her to choose between revenge and redemption while discovering that the family you choose is stronger than the blood that betrays you. Maya's stomach growled so loud she was sure the whole world could hear it. She stood outside the fancy Transcorp Hilton in Abuja, watching rich people walk in and out like they owned the world. Maybe they did. Her clothes were torn and dirty. Her hair was matted. She hadn't eaten in 2 days, and the security guards kept shooing her away like she was some kind of pest. But Maya was stubborn. She had to be, to survive 20 years on these streets. "Please, sir, just small money for food," she called out to a man in an expensive suit. He looked at her like she was invisible and walked past. Then she saw him. Emeka Okafor stepped out of his black Mercedes, adjusting his gold watch. Everyone knew who he was, the oil king of Nigeria, the man who owned half the country's telecommunications. His driver opened the door, and Maya saw her chance. "Sir, please," she ran up to him, her worn slippers slapping against the pavement. "I haven't eaten in days, just something small, anything." Emeka barely glanced at her. "Security!" he called out, annoyed. But then Maya raised her arm to shield herself from the approaching guard, and her torn sleeve fell back. There, on her left shoulder, was a crescent-shaped birthmark, dark against her skin. Emeka stopped dead. The world seemed to spin around him. His briefcase fell from his hands and crashed to the ground. "Where did you get that?" he whispered, pointing at her shoulder. Maya pulled her sleeve back down, confused. "Get what, sir?" "The mark. That birthmark." His voice was shaking now. "Where did you get it?" I was born with it, sir." "I don't understand." Emeka's legs almost gave out. 20 years. 20 long years since he'd seen that exact mark on his wife's shoulder. His beautiful Aduni, who had died in a car accident while he was away on business. "What's your name?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "Maya, sir." "Maya." He repeated it like a prayer. "How old are you?" 20, sir." The math was perfect, too perfect. Emeka's heart was pounding so hard he thought it might burst. "Get in the car," he said suddenly. Maya stepped back, scared. "Sir, I don't want trouble. I just wanted food. I'm not going to hurt you." His voice was gentle now, like he was talking to a frightened child. "I'm going to buy you food, lots of food, but first, we need to talk." They sat in the most expensive restaurant in Abuja, but Maya couldn't enjoy the food. She was too busy watching this strange man who kept staring at her like he'd seen a ghost. "Tell me about your family," Emeka said, pushing his untouched plate away. Maya laughed bitterly. "What family? I grew up in foster homes. Been on the streets since I was 18. "Your parents?" "Dead, I think. Nobody ever told me much. Just that my mother died when I was born and my father. Nobody knows." Emeka's hands were shaking. "Maya, I need to tell you something, and you're going to think I'm crazy." "Sir, with respect, I already think you're crazy. Rich men don't usually buy street girls expensive meals." Despite everything, Emeka smiled. There was something so familiar about her spirit, her way of talking back. It reminded him of 20 years ago, I was married to a woman named Aduni. She had a birthmark exactly like yours. Exactly. She died in a car accident when she was pregnant. Maya's fork stopped halfway to her mouth. "What are you saying?" "I think," Emeka's voice cracked, "I think you might be my daughter." The restaurant suddenly felt too quiet. Maya could hear her own heartbeat. "That's impossible." "The birthmark is genetic. It only appears in Aduni's family line. I've never seen it on anyone else." "But you said she died." "That's what I was told." Emeka's voice was getting stronger now, like he was putting pieces together. "My brother-in-law Kunla handled everything. I was in London closing a deal. I never saw the body. I was too destroyed by grief." Maya set down her fork. You think your brother-in-law lied to you? I don't know, but I'm going to find out. Kunla's house in Maitama was almost as fancy as Emeka's, but something felt different about it. Sadder, maybe. Like the walls held too many secrets. You brought her here. Kunla stared at Maya like she was a bomb about to explode. She has the birthmark, Kunla. Aduni's birthmark. Kunla's face went white. He sank into his chair, suddenly looking much older than his 50 years. I was wondering when this day would come, he whispered. What day? Emeka demanded. What are you talking about? Maya watched the two men, feeling like she was in the middle of a storm she didn't understand. Sit down, both of you. Kunla's voice was heavy with 20 years of secrets. It's time you knew the truth. He poured himself a glass of whiskey with shaking hands. Aduni didn't die in a car accident, Emeka. She was murdered. The words hit the room like lightning. Maya gasped. Emeka jumped to his feet. What are you talking about? I saw the accident report. I faked it. Kunla's voice was steady now, like he was relieved to finally tell the truth. I had to protect the baby. I had to protect Maya. Protect her from what? Emeka's voice was rising. From who? From you. The silence that followed was deafening. Maya felt like she couldn't breathe. Aduni found out about your illegal deals, Kunla continued. The embezzlement from the charity foundation, the arms dealing. She had evidence, Emeka. She was going to expose you. That's a lie. She came to me the night before she died. She was scared, pregnant, and she had documents that would have sent you to prison for life. She said she was going to turn you in. Maya's world was spinning. So you killed her? No. Kunla's voice cracked. I would never hurt my sister. But your business partner did. Damilola? Emeka's voice was barely a whisper. He kidnapped her, held her for months in a remote village. When she gave birth, Kunla's voice broke. He killed her, but he let the baby live. He let Maya live. Maya felt tears streaming down her face. All her life she'd wondered about her mother. Now she knew her mother had died protecting her. I arranged for you to be raised by my trusted housemaid Fatima, Kunla continued, looking at Maya. In a village far from here. I thought you'd be safe. When Fatima died and you ended up in the system, I lost track of you. I've been looking for you ever since. Why didn't you tell me? Emeka's voice was broken. Why did you let me believe she died in an accident? Because I knew you were guilty. I knew you were the reason she was dead. I loved her, Emeka shouted. I would never have hurt her. You were selling arms to militants. You were stealing from charity funds. She had the proof. Maya stood up slowly. Both men looked at her. These two men who claimed to love her mother, who had been fighting over her memory for 20 years. She was my mother, Maya said quietly, and you both failed her. 2 days later, Maya was still staying in Emeka's guest house, trying to process everything. She had a father now, but he might be a criminal. She had an uncle who had protected her but lied about everything. And she had a dead mother, who had died trying to do the right thing. That's when she met Kemi. He was about her age, tall and handsome, with kind eyes and an easy smile. He knocked on her door with a tray of food. I thought you might be hungry, he said. I'm Kemi, Emeka's son. Maya's heart did a little flip. His son? Well, stepson. My mom married him when I was 5, but he's been a good father to me. Kemi studied her face. You look familiar. Have we met? I don't think so. Maya felt her cheeks getting warm. There was something about him that made her feel safe. They talked for hours. Kemi told her about growing up in privilege but always feeling like something was missing. Maya told him about life on the streets, about learning to survive, about never knowing where her next meal would come from. I can't imagine being that strong, Kemi said, his eyes full of admiration. You do what you have to do. My father seems to think you're his daughter, Kemi said carefully. Maya nodded. It's complicated. That would make us... Kemi paused. Siblings, Maya finished, though something in her chest twisted at the word. The next week she met Tunde at a coffee shop in Wuz. He was different from Kemi, flashier, more confident, with expensive clothes and a sports car. He introduced himself as a friend of the family. I heard about your situation, he said, sliding into the seat across from her. It must be overwhelming. You could say that. If you ever need someone to talk to, someone who understands the pressure of being connected to powerful families, I'm here. Tunde was charming, funny, and he made her laugh. But something about him felt calculated, like he was performing rather than just being himself. Still, when he asked her out, she said yes. She was 20 years old, and she'd never had a real relationship. She deserved to feel normal, didn't she? She's getting too close to the boy, Damilola said, pacing in his office. This wasn't part of the plan. Tunde shifted uncomfortably in his chair. Maybe she's just lonely, Dad. She's been through a lot. I don't care what she's been through. I care about what she can do to us. Damilola's voice was cold. That girl is Emeka's daughter. She's the key to everything. The key to what? To destroying him finally, after 20 years. Tunde stared at his father. You killed her mother. I protected us. Aduni was going to destroy everything we'd built. The business, the political connections, our future. I did what I had to do. And now you're going to marry that girl. You're going to make her fall in love with you, and then you're going to use her to get to Emeka. I won't do it. Damilola's eyes went hard. You'll do it, or you'll lose everything. Your trust fund, your inheritance, your future. That girl is worth more than you know. What do you mean? Aduni left a will, hidden in a safety deposit box that can only be opened with her daughter's DNA. Everything she owned, including her shares in Emeka's companies. Maya doesn't know it yet, but she's worth billions. Tunde's blood ran cold. You want me to steal her inheritance? I want you to marry her and control it, for the family. That night, Tunde couldn't sleep. He thought about Maya's laugh, the way her eyes lit up when she talked about her dreams for the future. He thought about his father's cold calculation, the way he talked about her like she was a business transaction. For the first time in his life, Tunde realized he was falling in love, and it was going to destroy everything. Ngozi had been married to Emeka for 15 years, and she thought she knew all his secrets. She was wrong. A daughter, she said, her voice carefully controlled. After all these years? I know it's hard to believe, Emeka said, pacing their bedroom. But the birthmark, the timing, everything fits. Have you done a DNA test? I don't need one. I know she's mine. Ngozi's hands were shaking as she brushed her hair. In the mirror, she could see the calculation in her own eyes. She had 3 children with Emeka, 2 sons and a daughter. They were his heirs, his legacy. They were supposed to inherit everything. But if this street girl was really his daughter, his first child, what does this mean for our children? She asked. It doesn't change anything. I love all my children equally. That was a lie, and they both knew it. Emeka had been different since Maya arrived. Softer, more emotional. He looked at her the way he used to look at Aduni's pictures. After Emeka fell asleep, Ngozi made a phone call. It's me, she whispered. We have a problem. I know about the girl. Damilola's voice was calm. I'm handling it. She can't inherit anything. My children come first. Your children are safe. But I need you to do something for me. What? Find out everything you can about Maya. Her routines, her weaknesses, who she trusts. Can you do that? Ngozi looked at her sleeping husband, the man she'd married for love and security. Yes, I can do that. Good. Because if this girl becomes a problem, she'll need to disappear, just like her mother. Maya was cleaning out old files in Emeka's study when she found them. Bank records, shipping manifests, documents that made her stomach turn. Her father, because that's what he was now, her father had been telling the truth about one thing. He was guilty. The charity foundation he'd run with her mother had been a front. Money that was supposed to go to schools and hospitals had been diverted to buy weapons. Weapons that were sold to militant groups in the Niger Delta. Maya sank into his chair, holding the papers with shaking hands. Her mother had found these same documents. Her mother had died because of them. Maya? Kemi's voice made her jump. What are you doing? She looked up at him, this man she'd grown to care about, this man who was supposed to be her brother, but felt like so much more. Your father is a criminal, she said quietly. Kemi closed the door behind him. I know. You know. I've known for years. The legitimate businesses are real, but there's always been something else, something darker. He sat across from her. Is that what you found? She handed him the papers. He looked through them, his face growing pale. This is worse than I thought, he whispered. My mother died because of this, because she was going to expose him. Maya. Kemi reached across the desk and took her hand. I'm so sorry. The touch sent electricity through her. She should pull away. They were supposed to be siblings, but she couldn't. I don't know what to do, she whispered. We'll figure it out, together. We can't be together, Kemi. You know that. Why not? Because you're my brother. Kemi's eyes were intense. Are we sure about that? Before Maya could answer, the door burst open. Emeka stood there, his face a mask of fury. What are you doing with those documents? Maya stood up, the papers still in her hands. I'm learning about my mother, about why she died. You don't understand the context? I understand enough. Maya's voice was rising. You were selling weapons. You were stealing from charities. People died because of you. I was protecting our family, our business. Everything I did was to secure our future. You secured our future by destroying it. Maya threw the papers at him. My mother is dead because of you. Your mother is dead because of Damilola. Damilola was your partner. You were in business together. I never ordered her death, but you caused it. The room fell silent. Emeka looked old suddenly, defeated. You're right, he said quietly. I caused it. I've been trying to make up for it ever since. How? Maya's voice was cold. The schools I've funded, the hospitals, the scholarships, I've given away millions trying to atone. Money can't bring her back. No, it can't. Maya looked at him. This man who was her father, this man who loved her but had destroyed her mother. I need time to think. Maya, please. I need time. Maya found Kunle sitting by the lake behind his house, staring out at the water. He looked like he'd aged years in the past few weeks. I've been waiting for you, he said without turning around. Uncle Kunle, I need to ask you something. I know what you're going to ask. And yes, there's more. There's always more. Maya sat beside him on the wooden bench. Tell me. Your mother came to me the night before she died. She was scared, pregnant, and she had those documents, but she also had something else. What? A confession about who your real father is. Maya's world tilted. What do you mean? Emeka isn't your father, Maya. I am. The words hit her like a physical blow. That's impossible. Your mother and I, we had an affair. It was after she discovered Emeka's first betrayal, years before she found the documents. She was hurt, lonely, and I was in love with her. I'd always been in love with her. Maya couldn't breathe. You're my father? The birthmark comes from my family line, not hers. I let Emeka believe it was from Aduni's family because it was easier, because I knew he'd never accept that his wife had been with another man. Does he know? No, and he can never know. It would destroy him. Maya stood up abruptly. This is insane. First I had no father, then I had one, now I have a different one. I know it's confusing. Confusing? Maya laughed bitterly. I've been feeling guilty about falling in love with Kemi because I thought he was my brother. Now you're telling me he's not even related to me. You're in love with Kemi. It doesn't matter now. Nothing matters now. Maya, please. No! She turned on him, fury blazing in her eyes. You let me believe I was alone in the world for 20 years. You let me live on the streets, hungry and scared, while you sat in your big house with your secrets. I was protecting you. You were protecting yourself. You were all protecting yourselves. Maya stormed away, leaving Kunle alone by the lake with his 20-year-old guilt. Maya sat in her small apartment she'd moved out of Emeka's guest house after the confrontation, staring at the legal documents spread across her bed. The safety deposit box had been opened. The DNA test had confirmed what everyone suspected. And now she knew the truth about her inheritance.
She was worth 3 billion naira. Her mother had been smarter than anyone realized. She'd quietly accumulated shares in Emeka's companies, property investments, and offshore accounts. She'd left it all to her daughter. But with the inheritance came a choice. She could claim it all, but doing so would destroy Emeka's companies. Hundreds of people would lose their jobs. Communities that depended on his legitimate businesses would suffer. Or she could forgive him. She could let him keep control of the companies while she used her inheritance to create something new, something clean. There was a knock on her door. She opened it to find Tunde, holding flowers and looking nervous. "I know you're going through a lot," he said, "but I wanted to tell you something." "What?" "I love you."
I know it's fast. I know everything is complicated, but I love you. And I want to marry you. Maya stared at him. Tunda, I know you care about Kemi, but he's your brother. We're not related at all. We could have a real future together. How do you know about Kemi? Something flickered in Tunde's eyes. Everyone can see it, the way you look at each other. Maya's instincts were screaming at her. Who are you really, Tunde? What do you mean? I mean, why are you here? Why are you interested in me? I was a street beggar a month ago. I told you I love your Damilola's son. The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Tunde's face went white. How did you? I did some research. Senator Damilola Adebayo, your father, the man who killed my mother. Tunde's shoulders sagged. Maya, I can explain. Get out. Please, just listen. Get out. After he left, Maya sank to the floor and cried. She cried for her mother, who had died trying to do the right thing. She cried for herself, 20 years of loneliness and hunger. She cried for Emeka, who had lost the woman he loved because of his own greed. She cried for Kunla, who had carried the weight of secrets for 2 decades. And she cried for Kemi, who wasn't her brother after all, but who felt further away than ever. The confrontation happened at Emeka's house on a rainy Thursday evening. Maya had called everyone together, Emeka, Kunla, Ngozi, and even Damilola. She wanted all the lies in the open. I know the truth, she said, standing in the center of the living room like a judge. All of it. Maya, please, Emeka started. No, it's my turn to talk. She looked at Damilola first. You killed my mother because she was going to expose your arms-dealing business. You held her captive for months, let her give birth, then murdered her. Damilola's face was stone. You can't prove any of that. I don't need to. I know it's true. She turned to Ngozi. You've been feeding him information about me, about my routines, my weaknesses. You want me dead because you're afraid I'll take your children's inheritance. Ngozi's mask slipped. You don't belong here. You're nothing but a street beggar. Maybe. But I'm a street beggar with 3 billion naira and evidence that could send all of you to prison. She looked at Kunla. You're my biological father. You've been in love with my mother your whole life, and you let guilt and fear keep you from claiming me as your daughter. Kunla's eyes filled with tears. Maya, and you, she turned to Emeka. You loved my mother, but your greed killed her. You've spent 20 years trying to atone for sins you can't wash away. What do you want? Emeka asked quietly. I want justice. For my mother, for myself, for everyone who's been hurt by your lies. What kind of justice? Damilola asked, his voice dangerous. Maya smiled, and for the first time in weeks it was genuine, the kind that comes from the truth. She pulled out her phone and showed them the recording app. I've been recording everything. This conversation, previous conversations, confessions. I have enough evidence to destroy all of you. You wouldn't, Ngozi whispered. Wouldn't I? Maya's voice was steel. I lived on the streets for 20 years because of the choices you all made. I was hungry, cold, scared, and alone because you were all too busy protecting yourselves to protect me. But your family, Emeka said desperately. Family? Maya laughed bitterly. Family doesn't let each other starve on the streets. Family doesn't murder each other for money. Family doesn't lie for 20 years. She looked at each of them in turn. But here's the thing about family. Sometimes, if you're very lucky, you get to choose them. 6 months later, Maya stood in the courtroom as the judge read the verdict. Damilola was sentenced to life in prison for murder. Ngozi received 10 years for conspiracy. Emeka was given 15 years, but his sentence was reduced to 5 because of his cooperation and the charitable work he'd done. Maya had testified against all of them. It had been the hardest thing she'd ever done, but it had also been the most liberating. After the trial, she found Kemi waiting for her on the courthouse steps. "How do you feel?" he asked. "Empty, full, sad, relieved, all at once. I'm proud of you. Even though I sent your father to prison? He's not really my father, and he made his choices." They walked to his car in comfortable silence. Over the past few months, as the truth had come out, Kemi had stood by her. He'd chosen her over his family, love over loyalty to a lie. "There's something I need to tell you," Maya said as they drove through Abuja. "What?" "I'm pregnant." Kemi nearly swerved off the road. "What?" "It's yours. From that night after the trial preparation when we—" "Maya." He pulled over and took her hands. "Are you sure?" "I'm sure." "How do you feel about it?" Maya thought about her mother, who had died protecting her unborn child. She thought about her own childhood, growing up without parents, without love, without security. "Scared," she admitted, "but happy. I want this baby to have what I never had." "What's that?" "A family. A real family. One built on truth instead of lies." 2 years later, Maya stood in the garden of her new house in Maitama, watching her daughter take her first steps. Aduni, named for her grandmother, was a beautiful baby with bright eyes and a stubborn streak that reminded Maya of herself. Kemi was at work, running the legitimate side of what had once been Emeka's empire. Maya had used her inheritance to create a new foundation, one that actually helped people, unlike the corrupt charity her parents had run. "Maya?" Kunla's voice made her turn. He visited often now, trying to make up for 20 years of absence. "Hello, Uncle." She still called him that. They'd agreed it was easier for everyone, including themselves. "She's getting so big," he said, watching Aduni chase a butterfly. "She is. I have something for you." He handed her a letter. "It's from your mother. I found it in her things. It's addressed to her daughter." Maya's hands shook as she took the envelope. After all this time, a message from her mother. "Should I?" "Read it. She'd want you to." Maya opened the letter with trembling fingers. The handwriting was elegant, hurried. "My dearest daughter, if you're reading this, then I'm gone, and you're old enough to understand why. I'm writing this the night before I plan to expose your father's crimes. I know it's dangerous, but I can't live with the lies anymore. I want you to know that you were made from love, even if that love was complicated. I want you to know that every choice I made was to protect you, even if it meant I couldn't be there to hold you. Don't let the sins of your parents define you. Don't let the pain of the past poison your future. You are stronger than you know, braver than you believe, and more loved than you can imagine. Find your own family, my darling, not the one you're born into, but the one you choose. Fill your life with people who see your worth, who celebrate your dreams, who stand by you when the world falls apart. Be better than we were. Be everything we couldn't be. All my love, Mama." Maya was crying now, tears falling onto the old paper. After 20 years, her mother's words felt like a warm embrace. "What does it say?" Kunla asked gently. "It says I'm loved. It says I'm free to choose my own family." She looked around the garden at her daughter playing in the grass, at the man who had chosen to be her father figure despite everything, at the photo of Kemi on her phone from their wedding day. "I think I've done that," she said. "I think I've chosen well." 5 years later, Maya was giving a speech at the opening of her newest school in one of Abuja's poorest neighborhoods. The auditorium was packed with children and parents, all there to celebrate education and opportunity. "I was once like you," she told the children. "I was hungry, scared, and alone. I thought I had no family, no future, no hope." She paused, looking out at their eager faces. "But I learned something important. Family isn't about blood. It's about choice. It's about the people who see you when you're invisible, who feed you when you're hungry, who love you when you're broken. She touched her shoulder, where the crescent birthmark was hidden beneath her blouse. This mark once made me think I was cursed. It brought me pain, confusion, and loss. But it also brought me truth, and truth, no matter how painful, is always better than lies. In the audience, Kemi held their 2-year-old son while Aduni sat on his shoulders. Kunle was there too, recording everything on his phone like the proud grandfather he'd chosen to become. So choose your family wisely, Maya continued. Choose people who make you braver, kinder, stronger. Choose people who help you become the person you're meant to be. After the speech, as they walked home through the busy streets of Abuja, Aduni asked the question Maya had been waiting for. Mama, what's that mark on your shoulder? Maya knelt down to her daughter's level. It's a reminder, baby girl. A reminder that sometimes the things that hurt us the most also lead us to what we need the most. What do you need the most? Maya looked at her family, her husband, her children, her chosen father, and smiled. Love, she said simply, and I have plenty of that. The crescent mark had brought her full circle, from the streets of Abuja to the family she'd always dreamed of. It had taken 20 years, but Maya had finally found her way home. And this time, she was never leaving. This story shows us that family isn't always about blood, that truth is stronger than lies, and that love can heal even the deepest wounds. Maya's journey from street beggar to beloved daughter, wife, and mother reminds us that our past doesn't define our future, our choices do. Sometimes the marks we carry, the scars we bear, and the pain we endure are exactly what lead us to the love we deserve. Maya's crescent mark was her curse and her blessing, her destruction and her salvation. In the end, she didn't just find her family, she created it.